Today, I want to talk about the Tomb of the Bull King. At some point in Mazes Minotaurs, they published a list of modules that didn't exist. And one of the players of this game took the first module on the list and decided to create it, the Tomb of the Bull King. It's a mega dungeon for Mazes Minotaurs. It's one of the best mega dungeons. It's the reason you might want to play this game. So, first we'll start with this little mini module, which was published in the Pages of the Minotaur as sort of an introduction. So I always run this as part of the beginning of this. Long ago, before the age of heroes, a curse fell upon the land of Proteus. The ancient human civilization that had flourished there collapsed from the folly of their last king. The kingdom was invaded by beastmen and chaos monsters, and only a few coastal villages survived, thanks to the sacrifice of the king's daughter. The Olympian gods decided to isolate Proteus, for the pollution of chaos not to stain the rest of the world. Almighty Zeus ordered the nymphs of the sea to create a fog around the island, for sailors to become disoriented and the great Cyclops to throw large rocks at the coast, so that the few ships that arrived there sank before they reached the surface. Finally, he ordered Poseidon to look for a great keeper, and the Lord of the Seas brought from the western ocean a large sea snake, which he called Choristos. Zeus ruled that until a hero had killed the monster, and the ban that had fallen upon Proteus would not be lifted. Centuries passed, and few human inhabitants of the island dwindled to numbers and in culture. When the Age of Heroes came, there were only small, isolated villages inhabited by simple farmers and hunters, who only remembered the old legends about their past glory. Proteus's residents were now afraid to travel within the island, inhabited by monsters, and I knew that if they ventured out into the sea, the curse of the gods would fall upon them. Choristos, the sea monster, grew into a fearsome monster. She lived in a cave that opened into a cliff near a long sandy beach. From there she swam around the island, following Poseidon's orders. But every few years she moved away in search of prey and reached the land of the three cities and the island of Seriphos. Devastating coastal towns with sinking ships, the sages and priests of the kingdoms that were attacked figured out that the name of the sea serpent and the name of Proteus' monster became famous. A number of heroes found their demise attempting to end the beast's life. So, it's a little short adventure where you find a ship that's been attacked by Choristos, the sea serpent. And then you find a village just being attacked by Choristos, the sea serpent. You fight the sea serpent, and the gods appear and open up the island. And so then you go to the island, you fight the sea serpent one more time, and the person leading this expedition, who's an NPC named Bellerophon, decides to establish a city called Charistia here, named after the sea serpent. So then we get to the actual Tomb of the Bull King, which has a nice little table of contents. And it has something for me to read here. Let's see. The island of Proteus is located in the Middle Seas, south of the land of the three cities. Sages say the island was once home to an ancient and powerful civilization, but now only monster-haunted ruins and tiny fishing and farming communities remain. Since the Age of Magic, various groups from the land of the three cities have tried to establish themselves in Proteus, but each has failed, destroyed, or turned away sooner or later because of the monsters, curses, or wars. It seems the gods do not want Proteus to be populated again by civilized people. Only small towns and ports survive near the coast of the island. 5 years ago, a bold prince from Heraclea named Bellerophon traveled to Proteus with a great number of his people. They founded a new colony and built houses and a wooden wall and a great temple of Zeus. father of the gods. Bellerophon was crowned king of the new city, which was named Caristia. During the first year of his reign, King Bellerophon tamed a giant boar, his first year. The second year, he killed a lamia, and the fourth year, he avoided a war against the natives of the island by marrying Parsifal, a young priestess from the town of Tomis. By the virtue of the wedding and his great deeds, he earned the respect of the towns of Tomis, Arkham, and Telissos, and the new power and prestige of Caristia grew in the Middle Sea. But the ancient curse of the land seems to have fallen upon Caristia at last. 3 weeks ago, a great army of evil creatures came from the interior of the island and attacked the towns of Arkham and Telissos. A great Minotaur led the horde, armed with a double-headed bronze axe. Caristia was their next target, and their advance was preceded by fear and dark omens. King Bellerophon rallied his troops and met the monstrous horde in battle. Great deeds were done that day, and while men and monsters fought and died, King Bellerophon himself engaged the Minotaur. Terrible was the fight, and every member of both armies stopped to watch them. Finally, King Bellerophon impaled the monster with his magical golden spear, and the Minotaur fell. Believing their leader dead, the creatures fled to the hills in panic, but the Minotaur was still alive. Distracted by the celebrations of the men, Bellerophon failed to notice the foul creature was still moving. Seizing this opportunity, the monster rose and stabbed the weary king with his horns. His soldiers rushed to his aid, and King Bellerophon was saved by his men. The Minotaur was forced to flee, following his horde into the interior of the island. Back in Caristia, the priestess and apothecary alike treated the king, but the grievous wounds from the horns of the Minotaur couldn't be healed. The king was slowly dying. High priest Theocrates conducted a divination, and the gods answered. That which wounded the king might heal him as well. The horns of the Minotaur Lord could be used as the ingredient of a healing potion that could save the king. Queen Parsifal sent heralds to the land of the three cities and beyond to search for brave heroes who can kill the Minotaur Lord before the creatures return to destroy Caristia, and with it the hopes of regaining Proteus. So that's the information the players should probably obtain either through role-playing or reading it to them. And there's several different ways that you can get there, but basically heroes go to Caristia. And when I get there, people are freaking out. And they are reunited with Bellerophon, who was in the earlier adventure, who's injured, and asked them to go get the horns of the Minotaur to save them. There's Queen Parsifal. And so, on their way there, they run into a magical bull who's charging a priestess of Artemis. And if they save the priestess of Artemis, Artemis will appear and give them some magic items to help them in their quest. So, then the priestess will take them to her nearby town, where Parmenion, who's the brother of Parsifal, the queen of Caristia, is there. And they'll be given stuff, and Parmenion and Pylos and Milanos as guides to go there. So then they go into the Haughty Hills where they meet Lamia. There she is. And they then go to the Tomb of the Bull King, which, here's the map of it. And see, get the scale here. Now it's too small to see. This might look familiar to you, and if it does, that's because the map is based heavily on the palace at Knossos, the place that inspired the original Minotaur in the Labyrinth story. So you get to get lost in the labyrinth. I'm not going to give away the whole thing, but it's divided into categories, and each section has on the page where you meet them the actual monster stats for that. So it's very handy. It's all right here, easy to use. And when you get to the end, and sometimes they're just spaces for you to leave notes. Very handy, and there's several different possible endings that are detailed here. And a little map of, and here's the story about the fall of Proteus. So, let's see. This tells you what's really going on here. And there's some new rules about traps. The traps in this have ratings of difficulty to find them and difficulty to disarm them. There are lots of traps, so if you're playing a thief, lots of them to disarm. There's a new class. There's like a general table of contents and areas of the tomb. So I try my best not to give away stuff because you don't want to spoil this. This is a really, really cool mega dungeon, and you could play this with D&D, but you'd be better off playing it with Mazes and Minotaurs because it's really cool. A sinister curse has fallen upon the colony of Choristia. Ancient powers have awakened, forgotten secrets have been unearthed, and dark monsters once again threaten the Isle of Men. Will your heroes brave the dangers and mysteries of the Tomb of the Bull King?